Hi everyone, I'm Teacher Lisa, and welcome to our new American Culture series, where we explore how life really works in the United States. If you plan to travel, study, or work with Americans, this series will help you understand not only the language, but also the mindset behind it. So today's topic is understanding American values and mindset. So let's discover what shapes how Americans think, act, and how they communicate. We're going to focus on 6 areas. The first is independence and individualism. So I do want to say that I grew up in the United States. I spent most of my life in New York on Long Island, and then I spent a few years in Texas. And currently I'm a digital nomad in the Philippines. So let's go back to independence and individualism. I have experienced this myself, so I know what I'm talking about. One of the strongest values in the U.S. is independence. So from childhood, Americans are taught to stand on your own 2 feet. This means making your own choices, solving your own problems, and expressing your own opinions, even if others disagree. Let me give you an example. A teenager might get a part-time job early to earn some personal money. I did this. I worked at a flower shop part-time after school for a while when I was in high school. Or a college student moves out of the family home right after high school. So these are normal things that teenagers do in the United States. So when you talk to Americans, don't be surprised if they say things like, "That's your decision," or "you have to do what's best for you." They're not being selfish, they're reflecting their cultural value of independence. Let's go to area number 2, equality and fairness. And you see this reflected in news stories all the time if you watch international news. This is a big one. Equality. Many Americans believe everyone deserves the same rights and opportunities no matter their background. That's why in most workplaces, people use first names, even with the boss. So you'll hear things like, "Hi, Sarah," instead of "Good morning, Mrs. Johnson." So it's a sign of respect through equality, not disrespect. So using the first name is not disrespectful in the United States. And even here in the Philippines, although, as an example, they have special words that they use for someone who's older, we don't do that in the U.S. In the workplace environment, we use first names because that is a sign of respect. That is a sign of equality. So here in the Philippines, I brought that up because often I will address people on a first name basis. They don't mind because I'm a foreigner, but it's very different culturally. Filipinos will often use those titles before their names, like ate or manongs, things like that. They have special words they use, maybe also in your culture, before they address someone. But in the U.S., no, we just say, "Hi, Lisa, how are you today?" "Good morning, Lisa." Let's go to area number 3. Time is value. If you visit or work in the U.S., you'll notice Americans are time focused. They often say time is money. Being on time shows respect. So meetings, classes, and even social events usually start on schedule. So if you're late, you might hear someone say something like, "We started 5 minutes ago." It's not rude. It's part of their culture of efficiency. So people will call you out if you're late. Here in the Philippines, again, I'm just making a cultural comparison. Think about your own culture. It's different. They're not as scheduled here in the Philippines. You might go to somebody's house for dinner and the invitation is for 5 p.m. You might not eat till 7 p.m. That won't happen in the United States. If you go for a dinner invitation, you're going to eat in a reasonable amount of time, very close to the time that you're asked to come for that meal or for that occasion. Number 4, direct communication. Americans are often direct when they speak. They prefer clear answers. Yes, no, or I'm not sure. In many cultures, people avoid saying no directly, but in the US, being honest and straightforward is considered polite, not rude. For example, if your American coworker says, "I disagree, but that's interesting," that's a normal, respectful way to show opinion. So we directly will say, "I don't agree with you," or "I agree with you." It's not disrespectful. In some cultures, they have this saving face where you don't want to hurt someone's feelings or emotions. That's true typically in the Asian culture. So it can be hard to interact with Americans if you're not used to being direct. But if an American asks you a direct question, you should answer directly. Number 5, achievement and self-improvement. So another key value is achievement. Americans love setting goals, personal, professional, and even fitness goals. You'll often hear phrases like, "follow your dreams," or "you can do it." This focus on success can motivate people, but sometimes creates pressure to always be productive. Still, the idea of self-improvement runs very deep in American culture. And number 6, diversity and tolerance. Again, you see this in the news quite a bit. The US is a mix of people from around the world. And because of that, Americans learn to respect different opinions, religions, and lifestyles, generally speaking. You might meet people who eat different foods, speak different languages, or celebrate different holidays, and that's normal. Being open-minded is really part of the American culture. I grew up in an area where I did see this. We were not all white Americans, Spanish, Asian, from different continents. And that's something that you'll have to get used to. Granted, not every state in the United States is diverse. I grew up in New York, so it's one of the states that's more diverse. But there are some areas of the United States that are not diverse. But generally speaking, as a whole, the U.S. is a mix of people from around the world. So what's the American mindset in one sentence? This would be it. Be yourself, respect others' time and space, and speak honestly but kindly. If you understand these basic values, you'll find it easier to connect, work, and make friends in the United States. Thank you for watching episode 1 of our American Culture series. In the next video, we'll talk about how Americans communicate, tone, body language, and small talk secrets. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with a friend who wants to understand America a little bit better. I'll see you next time, and any questions, please put them in the comments. See you in the next video.